Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to the Spiritual Ranch. I'm Shush, no way. I'm the Off-Grid Oracle. Welcome to our channel. Welcome to our New World Order, right? It's still new. It's not very orderly, though. We're going to Bitsy treat. Here you go, Bitsy. She's like, what the hell? So nobody's been coming over to the table, you know? She's like, hey, I wait here at the table every day. And there's no Off-Grid Oracle, you know? She's like, what the hell, you know? And so she got her treat today. But anyhow, I hope everybody's doing really well. Life's been very strange. Energies have been very difficult. You know, very, very. I don't know about difficult. They've just been. You can feel the divide. You know, it's like you can really feel the divide right now, heavily amongst people. You know, I feel the gap is widening rapidly right now in a lot of ways. You know, and so it's definitely been interesting. You know, it's like there's the catch for, you know, everybody wants to talk about, like we talked about, like the rapture and all this other shit, you know, like the everybody's ascending, you know, it's like everybody's ascending or whatever. But maybe so. Maybe not everybody, but the ones that are, and the ones who are not, and that's become very apparent. You know, the gap is now widened to a point that it's no longer a what if, it's a definitely, you know. And so like it's pretty crazy because the like I was talking about, that read I just did with the AI and everything, is they're really trying to direct this course in a different direction so that everybody doesn't really ascend. And so it's like I've noticed that with myself, the more that I ascend here, the less I find that has reverence or have a relevance here on the internet. Like I'm having a hard time connecting like that currently. You know, it's like nothing's really resonating very, very strongly. In fact, a lot of things that maybe used to resonate a little bit more for me are even actually kind of a little bit, I don't know, just not healthy. Like, I guess, you know, it's like not just not resonating. You know, it's just not resonating, and so it's just trying to. I've been really focused on like the things that are real in my life, you know, most importantly, you know, things that I can hold in my hands that matter, because in a lot of ways I have been distracted personally, a little bit with the internet or just in general, you know, just in a space of like an inability to move forward, you know, and kind of like falling into that that mode of like I'm not big on the phone, but still like just that anticipation of like something's supposed to come out of there that is supposed to be gratifying or fulfilling. And it always often leaves me feeling kind of empty, you know? And so it's like I've been really dedicated here lately to seeing my wins, you know, is in a lot of ways. And so I hope that those of you who have also been ascending are starting to feel that you're in that position too, where you don't have to exist in an artificial world, because it's like, even though you may have experienced a lot up until this point, you're also in a position that you could really grab life by the horns, so to speak, you know, in a way that gives you power and control over the what's happening in your life, you know, and like real life, like sink your teeth into it, you know. It's like even if you're completely alone, um, you know, like on a path of ascension, on a chosen or called path, you're going to be completely alone, but you're going to be in a place that is surrounded by you, you know, that represents you, and that can help you grow and empower yourself more. And that's what's being asked of you to do on when you're getting called like that. The chosen ones right now, that's what we're being asked to do, is show relevance to our real life, because everybody's really getting sucked into an artificial existence right now that doesn't have legs on it. You know, it could be unplugged, and it could be an identity that is easily taken away from you or stripped away from you. And then what do you have at the end of the day? You know, and so it's really important right now that we focus on that. That's part of the divide. You know, it's like we're going to be asked to go back to a more natural way of existing, you know, because it's like the only way that we can escape the matrix is by actually doing that. We have to escape the matrix, you know. It's like, so we could try to change it a little bit from within, but at this point it's very corrupted. It's not something that can be trusted, you know. And that's what that movie The Matrix is about, is how it's like everything in that that kingdom, that matrix, that invention or whatever, that false reality is controlled by the creators that created it, and so there is a big separation between the human beings and God's creation in order for that matrix to exist. That's what that story is about. And so right now it's very important for us that have that ability to move the way like Neo moves in that movie, or to move within the matrix. We have to show a lot more relevance to like our actual freedom, like the actual things that we have in the real life that could give us freedom and sustain us, once we do actually start to break free and break more people free from the matrix, which is not just an internet gulag like kind of deal like in that movie. The matrix really honestly is has been in effect for a long time, and it's money. It's like that's the truth of the fact. It's like that guy's like, oh, he's eating the steak, and it's like he's like, oh, I know this steak ain't real, but it's like, it's still good. Well, a lot of steak that we eat nowadays or have been eaten for a long time isn't real anyways, because it's been raised on fossil fuels, and like it wouldn't exist like that had it not been for the fossil fuel industry, and the money that supports that and the money that it supports. And that's what it's all about. So it's like, if you're eating beef today, you're not really eating beef, you're eating crude oil, and so you're kind of already trapped in the matrix, especially if you don't have the ability to see that and understand that, And so that's where, like, with the calling, like, yeah, spirits asked me to step on my path, and it's like right now they're really making it happen like that, It's like how I eat, how I live, and everything is going back to the simplicity of like what it is to be a faith-based individual or organism that's here on earth, that allows the Most High to feed them and take care of them and sustain them. And when you step into that path, you find that it's actually a lot easier to live that way than it is to be trapped in that gulag right now that is around us all, that's being ran by and dominated by money and money changers. That's what we talk about around here, right? Because the beast is mammon, and we're after that one. We don't like that one, and so we're trying to do something about that. That's what we're trying to do, or at least try to talk about it and open up that dialogue. And so thank you for joining me. I'm Shesh not no way. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And we're going to dive right into this thing here. I'm going to go ahead and pull some coin today and just check it on the energies here. We'll see what Spirit has to say. We'll verify it with the cards. Of course, I'll pull some cards on those coins that come out. And then I have been experimenting a little bit with pulling more coins afterwards with the cards and get some like group statements out of the coins, which I kind of I've been finding, like with my own personal read, that it's been very beneficial. I like that because just like with the cards, the coins will communicate better like in sentences. It's like when we pull 3 or 4 cards, when they pop out 4 cards, that's more of a statement than just one card. A lot of times they speak together, and so you'll see what I'm talking about. And so thank you again for joining me. This has been an interesting journey for me here the last almost a year now. It'll be a year in like February, I think, since I posted my first video. And so it's been an interesting experience. I've learned a lot. It's been up and down on what I feel about it, And so I'm going to keep coming at it, though. And I'm going to keep doing what Father and Mother God asked me to do. And I'm going to allow them to use my tongue as shesh not no she who whispers loudly with a sharpened tongue. And that's what they do. And that's what we do out here, okay? And so we're going to say a prayer. You can bow your head and join me in prayer, Just speak Most High about what you need and ask them for protection, Father God, I want to say thank you, for everything that you do for me, for the way that you lead, guide, and direct me, and for my daily bread, and for those transgressions that you remove from my path, because transgress with me, and you help me forgive myself. And I really appreciate that, And so it's like I know things are really tough right now, so I ask that you lead, guide, and direct the rest of this collective as well, so that they have a lot of the same strength and understanding and clarity in their lives, that you offer up to me, and a lot of, the love that you give me. I just ask that you extend that to them too, and just help everybody kind of get through these times right now that are very difficult, Father God, because they're very difficult. And not just me, it's like, all that other shit, the personal shit and everything, but, difficult in general. I to remind myself often that you have me blessed out here. I try not to take up too much of your time crying about the things that I try to cry about. I just ask that you, I love you very, very much. God, I love you very much. Oh God, I love you. Thank you. Thank you. Not real hot fire today, that's kind of the energies. I've been feeling a lot that a lot of the energies amongst the collective and the massive, in general, have been there's a lot of oppression right now. A lot of confusion. There's a lot of just that confusion, and it's you can feel it. It's weighing heavily. People are confused, and there's a lot of reasons to be confused. It makes sense why people would be confused. It's starting to make more and more sense to me why they are, because I'm starting to really realize the internet's not a safe place. I keep trying to say that, but it really is not. It's changed a lot, And so anyhow, we're gonna go ahead. We'll read. I'm going to read the Psalms. I'm going to read Psalms 24 is what I think I'm going to read. I have it here, but that is a good one. I think I read it recently. But the earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, the world, and they that dwell within. For he hath founded it upon the seas, and established it upon the floods. Who shall ascend into the hill of the Lord, or who shall stand in his holy place? He that hath clean hands and a pure heart, who hath not lifted up his soul unto vanity, nor sworn deceitfully, he shall receive the blessings from the Lord, and righteousness from God of his salvation. This is the generation of them that seek him, that seek thy faith, O Jacob. Selah. Lift up your heads, O ye gates, and be ye lifted up, ye everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in. Who is this King of glory? The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. Lift up your heads, O ye gates, even lift them up, ye everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in. Who is this King of glory? The Lord of hosts, he is the King of glory. Selah. All right, Spirit. Oh man, I don't even know. Who knows what they're gonna say today? These guys, man, I love them. They're my homies. You guys, all right, Spirit. Yeah, Spirit, give us good message here. Like I say around here, we try to give messages that resonate. And so if it resonates, excellent. If it doesn't, they say, oh, try another reader. But I don't know. I'd say maybe listen to it tomorrow. I don't know. Think about it. That's what Spirit says. Think about it, What we got, Spirit? What's going on, Spirit? We're a crazy place right now, man. What the hell Spirit? What the fuck, man? But Spirits kind of talk a little rough, They're outlaws. And they, got sharp tongues just like me, And so they don't hold back on the F-bombs and everything. So if you're offended by language such as that, again, better listen to it tomorrow. I don't know, Spirit. What the hell, man? Come on, man. What we got here? Oh, really? I pulled some energies here earlier, and she's on the table, man. This is the divine feminine. This is the highest divine feminine energy right here, because this is the Liberty dollar right here. Liberty dollar, right? Yep, $1 silver coin. Big old fat silver coin, you know? And that's why she's divine feminine, because she's not fake, you know? She's real deal. She's not, she's always getting more and more valuable, you know? The longer she's around, the more valuable she becomes, you know? And so she's coming out over here, you know, honestly, like, it's just really kind of interesting. I didn't know as I sat down at the table, I haven't been doing a lot of reads, right? The pyramid's kind of over there, on the other side of the divide, and divine feminine's right here where the pyramid usually is, right? And so, that says a lot. That says a lot. And we're stepping into our divinity right now, you know, and the divinity, the divine energy of the heavens is definitely stopping down right now and smacking the shit out of the pyramid builders, you know, and that's what's been going on. We've been really feeling it. You can see it. You can see it in their faces. You can see it on their eyes. You can see it everywhere. Right now, it's like the wicked ones, the evil ones, dark ones, ones that have been pitted against us, ones that have been trying to enslave us, that have been trying to take away from us, trying to tell us that we ain't worth a goddamn, that we have no right to stand in our divine energy, that they've been trying to block us with karmic bullshit and all these fucking lies and everything that they tell, right? Well, we won. And so we're still here. We're still on the table. We're still alive. And we're still even more powerful right now. And so, like with silver, because silver this year, it's almost doubled in value. And so these pyramid builders over here, they try to drop that house down on top of our fucking heads, you know? They try to say that we can't stand in our divine light, in our divine essence, because they're going to lock us all up in that digital gulag and everything. But we proved them to be liars. We proved them to be liars, and they don't really like it very much, you know. But they don't like it very much. They're trying to protect themselves right now. They're trying to feel, because they're coming out in the light here, and so they're the ones now who are inside that. Because see, we're coming out in our divine energy, right? And so this is that energy of fucking flies, man. This is that energy of the two fences that I always talk about, right? And so that's generally our silver dime energy right there in the middle. And that's when the world has us constricted. That's when the world's got us in a squeeze, just like a python's got their fucking body wrapped around us. And they're trying to squeeze the life out of us, you know? And the only thing that keeps us alive, keeps us from not unaliving ourselves and shit, is that we have that little bit of glimmer left inside of us always. That's God calling our names, you know? Because God knows our names personally. And when they call our names, we know that we have to keep fighting. Now, we're not going to let them kill us, right? We're not going to let them take us out, right? Because that's what they want to do and everything, you know? And that's what they've been trying to do, because anything righteous right now, anything that stands in the light of God that is divine, is going to take away everything that gives them their power and strength. So it's going to remove the head from that snake that's been wrapped around us, spiritually speaking, trying to constrict us, trying to take away from us, trying to make us feel small. But we survived that battle, see? We slayed that Leviathan, you know, many times. We took the head off of that beast, you know, and it's never going to come back now. It's just a quivering mass of death, you know, lying in the fucking corner, wishing like hell it never would have touched us, you know. And so we turned tables on them. That's back to cinder. And see, now they have the thimble. And so they're trying to protect their little lame asses from the pricks that are around them, because they're realizing that the only thing that has helped their evil asses stay in power and control and mind wash and manipulate everybody around them so that this whole world's a shit heap were pricks. And so they've been doing what business with pricks, and now they're getting their asses exposed because they're too stupid to cover their asses already, and now nobody's going to cover their asses for them, and we're coming out as the big-ass motherfucking truth tellers right here. You see what I'm saying? That's what we get, too. When we stand in our own truth, and we speak on the matters that are around us, and people start to listen, that's when we gain more value in the eyes of the Most High. And so it don't matter how many followers you got. It don't matter how many views you get. It don't matter if anybody's listening to you. You can speak it just to yourself, up into the clouds, up in the sky, up in the ceiling, up to your fucking dog, down to your dog, whatever you got to do. As long as you're speaking the truth, Father God's going to hear you. And they're never going to call you crazy. Mother God's going to hear you. And they're never going to call you crazy. They're going to say that they love you, child, for fucking being that way. You know? And they're going to bless you. And that's what's happening right now. Because we have the wheelbarrow over here, but the wheelbarrow got tipped over. But you have the pig's tooth over here too. So that's them sacrifices that you've made, you know? And so it's like, yeah, there's been a lot of periods in our life where we had to make a lot of sacrifices to try to fill our wheelbarrow, and it kept getting tipped over. Everybody wants to tip it over, you know? It's almost like it was by design, right? It's kind of hard to trust, you know? It's like, how many times is this going to happen to me? Well, Father God, Mother God are saying right now, and that this is the last time that it's going to happen to you, you know, that you've made your sacrifices, and they see that you've made your sacrifices, and so right now they know that you're good to go, right? As good to go as you're ever going to be, because somebody who could sacrifice as much as you have and still keep standing is basically invincible. That's what they're saying right now. That's what they're saying right now, and they want you to see that. They want you to see that, even though the whole world wants to not see you, because the raven is black, but they have the wisdom, right? And so they're dark, they're black, right? So everybody kind of sees them a little differently or whatever, you know, but they have wisdom, they have knowledge. They're not scary, they're not creepy, they're intelligent, you know, they're paying attention. And so where a lot of people don't judge that book by the cover properly, that book knows exactly how to judge every single one of them out there trying to read it. And that's the new world order. You know, that's the world that we're in right now. And we have to be smart enough to not succumb to the pressures that are put on us, that are asking us to continue to make sacrifices in order to fill up our wheelbarrow, because we're smart enough right now to know that that we got to carry that shit inside ourselves, you know? It's like when we have a wheelbarrow and we're pushing it out there in front of us, you know, sure, you can have 10 cups in that fucking wheelbarrow, you can have 10 pentacles in that wheelbarrow, but that wheelbarrow is something that you're presenting to the world in a way that they can kind of take out of it if they wanted to, you know? Or they could try to put their shit in there too and tarnish your shit, fuck your shit up, right? And so what God's telling us right here with that wheelbarrow being tipped over and with that pig's tooth is that, man, you made a lot of fucking sacrifices, is what God's saying. You fucking stay on your path, motherfucker. They're like, you gotta kill everything that you love. You've been through fucking hell and back, son. You gonna really just give that shit away again? Yeah? So God said, fuck you. We're gonna break the wheel right off your damn wheelbarrow and tip the motherfucker over, because you gotta learn how to carry that shit inside it of yourself and protect yourself no matter what this world thinks about you. And that's the path that they ask us to step on, you know? And that's a hard one to accept, right? We gotta see if we can't look down on that calling, you know? We can't see it as a small calling. It's like, sure, we're a knight of cups in the eyes of Father God, right? Of course. Well, guess what? That makes you like more powerful than the most powerful anything here on the planet Earth, because even a knight of cups in the eyes of Father God is a mighty ass motherfucker warrior. You know what I'm saying? And that's why death don't stand a chance with us, you know? And that's just what it is, you know? And that's just what it is, right? And unless we accept that and we see that, because this whole world wants us to feel like a knight, you know? This whole world wants us to feel like we got to stick our cup out there hoping that they'll put something in it, you know? Because this guy right here don't even realize that everything that they got coming for them, that, you know, that anointing that God has put on their life, there's so much anointing in that shit that they're going to need more than, you know, a dump truck to carry that fucking stuff around. But the way that they need to carry it is inside themselves and see themselves as that vessel that's big enough to carry that anointing, you know? And so you ain't no Knight of Cups. You're God's Knight of Cups, you know? And that's a big difference, right? And so you don't want to ask nobody to fill your cup. And you ain't just going to drink out of any old fucking river either. And you ain't going to get lost out in that fucking desert out here that's this motherfucker right here is surrounded in, away from that water, because you're going to be smart enough, like I said, to have a vessel big enough to carry all that water that God has for you, you know? That's your calling. That's that anointing. That's your calling, you know? And that should give you a lot of joy. That should give you a lot of happiness. That should give you a lot of emotional fulfillment is what that should give you, you know? And so it's like, yeah, we're all just now getting started on that journey, you know? Like, yeah, you know, we all just started to ascend together. And so we're all getting a new taste of what life is going to be like moving forward, which has been very fulfilling. I mean, why wouldn't it be? If you ascended, why would life not be fulfilling? You know, that's why I keep asking myself. And that's why, with that Knight of Cups on the bottom of the deck there, as somebody who's also just, you know, on that path with you all, joining you on that path of ascension, because a lot of us are being called right now, rightfully so, and necessarily so, you know. And so a lot of us are feeling that new energy of that Knight of Cups, because it's like the world doesn't really believe in that shit, you know. And we know that. It's like we know, you know, it's like everybody fantasizes about it, but they don't know it to be really, truly, really what's going on, or like, you know. So that's why a lot of people, even people who have the ability to ascend, if they don't believe in it fully and commit themselves to that fully, that path, you can't ascend, you know? And so that's how the world is working on individuals, is that they're manipulating the situation so that it becomes way too mainstream or whatever, and then it becomes nullified, you know? And so we got everybody out here thinking it's just a fantasy, and that makes it hard for individuals to fully believe in their heart that they got to step on that path that Father God has for them, that Mother God has for them, that can help to change the world, you know? Because they're like, well, whatever, that's just crazy. I need to keep my 9 to 5, you know? They're like, well, oh, yeah, how am I going to tell my whole family that I ascended, and so I'm going to go do my ministry like Jesus or whatever, right? You know? And rightfully so. I understand why we would think that, but we have to step out of that Knight of Cups energy and see ourselves fully for what we are, you know? That's a warrior of God with the Ace of Cups in their hands, essentially, you know? And so it's like God's giving you dominion, giving you power and control over your emotional kingdom, over yourself within, so that you're not going to be distracted by like the things that this world could throw at you, you know? Because like you got to be emotionally fortified right now in this world, because you know, like if you're too dependent on a lot of the stuff that we have that brings us happiness, when we have to step away from that in an emergency situation or whatever, or because we're called, the emotional impact of that is too much for us to focus on our calling, you know? And that's why those of us who are really on that path towards ascension, we've had to walk away from a lot, you know? Like, and so that Knight of Cups is asking us to remember that even though it's like always, it's like a new beginning right now, we need to be confident to go into that new beginning of our phase of life right now. And with the expectations of goodness, you know, because that Knight of Cups, it came out in the upright on the bottom of the deck, you know? And so it's like we can't be wounded warrior energy here, see? So but it's in the reverse too. So it's saying, hey, we got to like open up a little bit and trust a little bit. It's all part of the process. It's like everything that we've been through has brought us to this point, right? So that we could become this high priestess right here, because that's what we are now. And we're very, very chosen. We're very divine. We're very valuable, high value. But if we don't value ourselves, then we're not high value at all. We'll make the same low value mistakes that we've made in the past and get back involved with them pricks over there and get sucked back right into that fucking cage where we were reduced to that dime energy, you know? And so it's like, even though that's a dime inside that cage, it's a silver dime inside that cage, it sure as hell ain't a Liberty dollar. Not even close, you know what I'm saying? And that's just what it is. We got to be aware of the things that we're dealing with right now. We got to see ourselves in a light, because that high priestess right there, that energy, she's standing on her own, you know, and she's not afraid to stand on her own as her own temple, because she's replaced the pyramids. The pyramids, they're over here. You can't even see that son of a bitch right now because it's not even really on the table, right? And that wasn't intentional by me. That's how spirit works. So thank you, spirit. But that's also with our calling, because that's what we're being called to do, you know? It's like people don't realize, they don't understand, they're confused about why the pyramids were kind of like, you know, like they say, oh, we don't really know, right? Right, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure what they say. They don't say a whole lot. But with the pyramids down in like Maya and everything, they're like, oh, we don't even know what happened to those pyramid builders. Well, what happened is the people who were building those pyramids, they stepped into their divine energy, their divine essence, their divine light. And they started to listen to the Holy One again, the righteous one. And they stepped away from the monoculturing, you know, stepped away from the industrial agriculture. They stepped away from the pyramid building, because that's what that is. It's like if you're going to have people building pyramids and cities for you, you have to feed them. In order to feed them, you monoculture, and that's what they did. And they burned up all their farmland, and they're like had masses of people who were starving, and then they had masses of people on the very top who were doing horrible things to children, right, and doing blood sacrifices and all this crazy ass stuff to keep the lower masses under control, because they were starving and they didn't want to get eaten by them, so they had to make them fearful, you know. And so the lower people that were down below the bottom of the pyramid, right, because at the bottom of the pyramid splits, then the top of the pyramid has nothing to hold it up anymore, and they're down there, and the mire just like the other ones, and they're going to eat each other. That's the way it goes, you know, because they've never been able to take care of themselves. It's always been us on the bottom of the pyramid feeding them. And as a divine one, as a righteous one, we realize that, because we know that we have that natural abundance inside of us, right? And that's what they've always asked us to sacrifice, was our natural abundance. But we're no longer going to allow that to happen. And that's what the Maya people did too. They said, well, screw this shit. We're going to go back to the forest because the forest has always fed us, you know, and the forest has always taken care of us abundantly, naturally, just like the great raven over here, you know? They're like, well, why do we have to worry about all this shit when the raven doesn't? The raven's free, you know? The raven don't have to sacrifice their children for some pompous ass motherfucker that wants to act like they're some kind of deity and shit, you know? Right? And so, good work, you guys. Excellent work. Excellent work. And honestly, the energy that I have here on this table right now is telling me, you know, honestly, like, and you can feel it. You can see it on them. They're scrambling. They're afraid right now. They don't know what to do. And they're acting stupid. And they're becoming cannibalistic in their own society and their own culture, you know. It's becoming very dog-eat-dog over there with the pyramid builders. None of them trust each other. And so it's most important, very important right now, more important than ever, that we trust ourselves. See? But we have that in us. We have that ability. We have that naturally. That's what we have naturally, you know? We have it naturally to trust ourselves enough that now we can observe what's going on around us, the same as that raven over there. And we have a good comparison, because we can compare the rest of the world to our life right now, because our life is as we step into our calling, is becoming more and more fulfilling as it seems to those of us who have really stepped into that calling around us, that the world around us is becoming less and less satisfying. And that's good. And so we need to focus on that and continue to be dedicated towards our natural abundance, you know, and not allow ourselves to be drawn back into that energy right here where we feel that we have to be so protective. It's like we really realizing right now that it's like I talk about, like we're in that bear rabbit energy, because like with bear rabbit, right? Bear rabbit. I've told the story before on here, but I'll tell it again. So it's like bear and rabbit sitting in the woods, right? Taking a shit, and bear asks rabbit, hey, does shit stick to your fur? And rabbit says, no, you know, and then bear picks him up, wipes his ass, you know. But we're in that position now, though, where we're not gonna get, they're not gonna wipe their asses with us anymore, man. They're not gonna, and that shit doesn't stick to our fur either, you know. And so it's like, yeah, they've been trying to wipe their asses on us for a long time. They've been trying to use us as toilet paper. But that shit don't stick to us, you know? And so they're starting to get a big rash on their asses. And they're starting to realize that they're the ones who need to know how to protect themselves a little bit fucking better, because they never did protect themselves well in the first place, you know? Trying to wipe your ass with the chosen one is like trying to wipe your ass with a leaf of poison oak. It's not a very good idea. It's just not a very fucking good idea. It's not a good idea. All right, Spirit. Why the pig tooth, Spirit? Why the pig tooth, Spirit? In the wheelbarrow. King of Swords. See? And that's the truth. And that's the see, like with us, the reason we've had to make so many sacrifices throughout our life is because we've stood on truth, you know? We've stood on the truth. And the truth is our most natural abundance. The truth is what the discernment of the raven operates with, you know, and so that they always know themselves. And that's how we're divine ones. And that's how we know what feeds us too, you know? And so it's like, with that King of Swords energy right there, that's the kind of individual that is realizing that it's not wrong to stand up to your oppressor. Like, that's not an action of biting the hand that feeds you. That's a tooth, you know? And so you're not biting the hand that feeds you if we stand up right now to the system that has been lying to us and distorting our concept of what reality is, you know, because the King of Swords with that pig tooth energy, with the wheelbarrow being tipped over upside down like that, is an individual that wants to know how to feed themselves again. Both spiritually and physically, you know, so metaphysically and spiritually and all that shit. But also be able to teach that truth to others and free them from that feeling that they're no longer worthy, they're no longer good, you know? It's like that they don't have anything to offer the world because their wheelbarrow's been tipped over. It's like the wheelbarrow's tipped over with the broken wheel. And so that's an individual who no longer has the ability to provide for themselves, you know? Like right? And so that King of Swords energy is also a very powerful mofo that is willing to see their own value also, you know, and carry that value. And so it's like they're not represented by the things necessarily that they need or that they think they need. You know, like the King of Swords is represented by the things that they know they can provide, right? And that's our natural abundance. And so we're really seeing that. That's why the energy is coming out here right now. And because that's the knowledge, see, that this queen, this high priestess right here carries. And so like that's us on a path, on our ascension, that where we're being guided away. See, like we're set aside. It's like with the ravens, you know, like they well, here there's always a pair, you know, but they're very observant, you know. It's like they're different from the like I talk about a lot too. It's like they're not really predators. They're gatherers, you know. They're foragers. They're like half scavenger, you know. Like they're very they're opportunistic, right? But they're smart. They're intelligent. Like they'll figure stuff out, you know. And so like that's the energy that we've been in. It's like we are. We're observing right now how there's deficit in the system in the world that's around us of truth, right? And we're sick of that, and we know we could see from a 300 foot degree angle, 300 foot angle, or whatever view, what's coming down right now. Because like again, like in that energy of the ravens, like we're flying around, we're soaring around, and we're truth seekers, and we see what's happening to others, how others are no longer standing in their truth. And that the lies that they're being fed right now, the lies that a lot of people are really consuming, are obviously lies. Like there's obvious lies out here, and if you want to see it, you will. That's that raven energy, you know. And so it's like you can't fill your wheelbarrow with lies and expect it to not get tipped over, you know. And so that's something that we all have to be very paying attention to right now, because if something were to go down, like they keep predicted that, you know, and there's a lot of really strange energy right now where something heavy could go down, where you know, like you can't trust your neighbor. That's concerning, and so that's concerning, you know. And so like what they're saying here though is that Queen of Swords on the bottom of the deck. What the hell? All right, a lot of truth. So that's what they're saying right now. It's like I'm hesitant to talk because it's like the energy that I'm picking up on. It's like we're really, what they're asking us to see is the truth. Like they're asking us to really, really, really right now, because she's like looking, the way I got her set down here, she's looking straight at that king of swords, like with a lot of like expectation. You know, it's like she's really looking at that, like it's intent. Like every time I look down at her, she's like very like looking at that king of swords with that pig tooth, you know. And so that's like her trying to see. It's like right now, like I feel that we're still kind of trapped in that we're struggling with, we've been struggling with seeing the truth of like that we're on the right path, you know. Fly, man. Ugh. And that's what it is. And so they're really trying to tell us right now. That's why, like with this read, she's coming out here strong like that. We haven't been at the table for a little while, and so I'm happy to see her, because it's telling us that why is the wheelbarrow here in the reverse, Spirit? She's telling us, they're telling us to really see it for what it is. Like we got to see it for what it is. We're too we've been feeling a little bit more preoccupied with how things could have been. You know, how things could have worked out, or how things, like we're seeing it. It's like there's been a big balance. You know, things have been brought into balance right now, and so there's been a lot of disorder in our lives up until this point, you know. And so like that's the sacrifices that we've had to make in order to stand in our truth. We've like I said, begin to read, you know, we've had kind of like we always talk about around here, we've had to like kind of lose everything. And so that's had this high priestess energy here stuck in a state of looking back too much, like looking back, you know. And like we need to be really looking forward right now into that fact that like our truth has been a win. It's like we've really won, you know, and we have won. And it's like I know that that the whoever's paying attention at this point with this read, I mean, if you're still here listening to me, you know that you've won. Like you know that you've been through a lot, and but you know that even right now, you have because it's like this 5 year period that we've all been going through that's been really rough, and we've really had our whole lives just like thrown into disorder, and so it's like that was like a lot of sacrifices made, but now they're really saying to us to realize that in that disorder, in that rebalancing of everything, we've really stepped into our true light, our true divinity, and that we couldn't have been in the position that we're in now if we wouldn't have gone through all that chaos that we've gone through here in the last like 5 years, 6 years at this point, and so that cycle's closing out here, and we're seeing the truth of the fact, but now we're like kind of we're on our own, so it's like we're a big ass energy, you're a big ass energy, like this is the biggest energy in my bag. I mean, that's like the big ass energy, high priestess, empress, right? And so we're in that energy right now. But we didn't expect to be standing in that energy alone. But the thing is that our being set aside, which is what happens when we're called, it is a blessing. It is our blessing. Because those who are not being set aside right now are learning that they're not protected. That's what this symbol over here with the that fence, because like a lot of people have been very clueless, and so it's like they've just kind of already blocked everything out. It's like that's how a lot of people survive, and so it's like a lot of people ain't like us. If you're listening to my reads here, you're listening to this here. If you're listening to me, no way, the Off Grid Oracle, you should like, comment, share, and subscribe because we're gonna try to get better at this, talk some real shit out here, and help people. And so, but like you're also a person who is definitely probably on a path that's got a calling attached to it, I would say, because I mean this read's not gonna make sense to anybody other than somebody who's kind of been through a lot of shit like that. You know what I'm talking about. And so you understand how to move, and you're alone. You're most likely very isolated, like I said, and I'm gonna assume you're probably earth or fire sign, a lot of you, just because it's the way the algorithm works, right? They're under control of this shit. But why the high priestess in the spirit? Why is she here, spirit? Why is she here, spirit? Spirit. See. And so it's like like I said, man. So right now they really want us to see that the juice is worth the squeeze. That's what that is right there. That's what they want us to see. They want us to know that because like this, how like the energy has been feeling for me too, is that I'm like waiting still for my harvest. But at the same time, that's not the truth, It isn't. But it's just that we've been through so much, like it's taken us a lot of years that we've had to kind of tend to our crops, we've had to tend to the things that we have been trying to have in life, but we never got to the harvest, is what the problem has been. And so it's like, yeah, we've had a lot of great success, but never great completion of that success. And so it's like we've had to walk away from a lot of our harvests after the hard work has been done. And that's made us reluctant to want to dedicate that same amount of energy into the things that we potentially could love again, or like that we have loved in the past. Because right now, like what's being offered to us as a chosen one is that we're being given the opportunity to manifest into our existence the things that we have always dreamed of, that we've taken shots at, but that we haven't been able to bring into completion, that somebody else took the harvest from us, And so it's like there's a lot of things that we've built, there's a lot of experiences that we've had in our lives where we did that hard work, and then others would just swoop in and take it, and like those are situations where it's like for us, it's like double-edged sword, It's like we feel really good, we're gratified about what we've accomplished, and but at the same time, it's like very, very, very painful and discouraging to have to watch somebody else get the harvest from that thing that we put all our effort into, And that's been something that we've had to all experience probably multiple times along our path, And that's because honestly, it's like we've it's been like going to school, you know. It's kind of like a job. It's like we have had the opportunity by with those experiences of having to rebuild, of always having to rebuild, right? Without having that harvest, that's made us very powerful tools for spirit and for God, you know, because we have a lot of experience, we have a lot of understanding, and we have a lot of skills. You know, it's like we really know how to do shit. And it's just that right now they're really trying to get us to see that and its thoroughness, you know. And so it's like we don't just have one little silver dime to offer. This is 10 ass silver dimes, you know. And that's 10 ass cups. It's 10 ass coins right there. That's high priestess. That's empress energy, you know. And so it's like at this point, that is our harvest, you know. And so it's like sure we don't maybe have a whole lot to show for it materialistically, but like I said at the very beginning of the read, Spirit's trying to ask us to understand how it is to carry that divine soul, that divine spirit, without outside representation of it, you know? And so we don't got to push our shit around in a wheelbarrow because we're not here to compete with the Joneses, you know? We don't care. It's not a pissing contest for us. We're divine. We're chosen. We carry star seed inside of us. We carry divine seed inside of us, you know? God, I hate them things. Like literally, there's like one in the house. I don't even know where that one fucking came from, man. They're just so nasty. It's in monitoring spirits, you know, man. But that's what's happening, you guys. We need to show gratitude and start in on that harvest, you know. So it's like it's now is the time for us to confidently proceed forth and make that harvest, you know. And that's the seeds too for our next crop that we're gonna plant, you know, which is gonna be our big one. All right, that's this saying. 8 coins with this coin right here with this high priestess energy right here. That's our big one, you know. And so it's like sure, right now it just looks like maybe a little bit of a small harvest because we've had to put so much effort in just to get to this fucking point, you know. And we've lost some big harvests in the past, and so we might be feeling a little bit discouraged, you know, or like. Kind of like, well, what's next? You know, like afraid to pick the fruit almost just because you're afraid as soon as you squeeze that juice, then somebody's going to snap it up from you. They're going to say it's yours, right? Well, that's not going to happen this time. And that's what Spirit's telling you. Be confident. Be confident about your harvest that's coming in. And the ones that are going to be stuck up on that tree now and not getting to harvest because they got to sit down and think about it are going to be the ones that haven't been thinking about it this whole time and making those sacrifices. And so it's like the individuals who are willing to just kind of turn on the blinders and just keep going. Well, now that everything's crumbling, the blinders got to come off eventually because like when the whole world falls to shit around you, like you got to like eventually pull the blinders off. But once they pull the blinders off now, they don't have the tools necessary to rebuild. But you do, you know, because you've had to so many times. Like you're really good at it. You know how to do that, you know. And so that's an opportunity for us to lead, and that's good, you know. It's just that we have to also be very aware of the fact that some of them out there they ain't protecting silver dimes like we have throughout all these eons and generations that they've been attacking us. You know, there's a lot of just regular old fucking dimes out here, right? And they ain't gonna be worth jack shit when shit hits the fan, and that's what they're realizing. And so they're trying we got a lot of non-player characters right now who are kind of realizing that they're non-player characters, but they don't like that fact, you know, and they're a little bit pissed off about that. But they're also starting to realize that they're just surrounded by a bunch of pricks, you know. And so they got that thimble out there, you know, because they're a lot of like childish mentalities out here, you know. That don't know how to behave properly and how to treat each other properly, you know. And so it's like we need to know right now we don't need that protection no more like we used to. We don't need to be afraid to make our next move because the pricks have all been removed from around us. We don't need the thimble no more, you know. They do. That's what Spirit's saying. And so really the best thing for us to do, the thimble spirit, the thimble, is to pray the thimble spirit. You know, pray for them. Because like we have the power to do that, and we're in a safe place right now, where the things that we've been working on are coming into fruition. You know, yep. You seen that 10 pickles? You seen that 10 pickles flip around like that, right? You see that? So it's that thimble right there, you know. And so they're trying to protect their asses because they know they're surrounded by pricks, and those 10 pentacles are in the reverse. And so that's the economic system that's around us right now that's collapsing. And the reason that it's collapsing is because it's not built on a system that supports divinity, that supports self-worth, that supports it's not like it says in God we trust on the coins, but that's a freaking lie because they don't trust in God. They trust in the damn coin. It's like crazy. Like God don't back that shit. In God we trust says right there. In God we trust, right? No, in God we trust. See? And that's why we're going to have a bountiful harvest, because now we've realized that we don't need 10 pentacles to go off grid. And I was talking about this yesterday. And that's our protection, That's the thing that right now they're realizing, that the lies that they've believed, the things that they thought were going to protect them, they try to swoop in there and steal from each other, all this fucking stuff. And they haven't gained any kind of knowledge on how to take care of each other. And so now everybody's just going to be pitted against each other because there ain't going to be no more fucking coin. They're trying to break this shit down right now. They're trying to figure out how far into a slave class they can shove us into, how far down they can take us before we revolt, before we stand up and say, nah. And they're trying to do it just like they do frogs in a pot, and they think, nah, we just got to like make it a little hotter, a little hotter, a little hotter. And they're just going to sit in that pot and be stupid. And then, but that's not the truth, And so those of us now that have the, because like we've had to do so much work and not get the coin so many damn times. Like we put in all the effort, done everything fucking right, many, many times. We're divine ones. We're righteous, And so of course we've had the right intent. We've always done everything with integrity, as high as integrity as we could possibly do it in. And if we weren't doing shit if we were doing shit without integrity, well, we accept our losses there. We do, like, well, yeah, I wasn't operating from a place that was of integrity, and so I lost, And so we've learned from those situations, but then we've still been screwed many a time when we were right, And so we're no longer confused about that because we know our self-worth. See, the ones that have been screwing them and going after them, and only the bottom line mattered right now. They didn't care about their neighbor or whatever. They were willing to tell lies in order to get their coin and just do whatever to get a raise or just whatever. People will do the most atrocious things to each other for money, And so like any individual out here that was willing to lie for money and then is now been consuming their own lies for so fucking long that they don't even know themselves at all. And that's why their value's been reduced to a dime, but just a regular old dime. There's like nothing, they got no silver in it, not whatsoever, right? And that's a scary situation to be in. And that's why we got to be really protective of the abundance that we have coming in right now of our harvest, because we know our truth, and we know that in order for us to get here, we didn't accept that easy living that they all did when they were lying to each other, and that 10 of Pentacles was still in the upright position, but it's not anymore. And that's why there's all this big feeding frenzy. That's why everything's so crazy right now. Everywhere that you look, that's why it's so crazy right now. Well, that is why everything is so crazy right now. Handmade cards here. The King of Swords here, Spirit. The Pigs too. King of Swords. So, good work, you guys. Those of you who are standing in this energy right here, that are resonating with that high priestess energy, that divine feminine energy, who is really standing in your full light right now. Good work. You have it coming. You earned it. You deserved it. You deserve it. And like I'm telling you, it may not seem like it, but you're gonna realize here, like you should be starting to realize right now. How much you are winning, and that's what Spirit's really asking us. Like when that big Liberty dollar comes out like that, she's a big attaboy from the Most High. The Most High is really trying to say, congratulations, And then we at the bottom of the deck here, it says the Two of Wands, which says don't worry about controlling the world if you cannot handle two wands first, And so that's what Spirit's been trying to teach us, It's like we've learned how to make something out of nothing so many fucking times that it's going to be very easy for us to move into this next transition away from a world that has been so plagued by consumerism, because right now it's just like livestock, people are at a point where we're all getting very separated from the natural kingdom and from the ability to provide for ourselves through the natural kingdom, and so it's like with me out here, I've been eating a roadkill buck, a little roadkill little yearling, and so I've been eating the innards, I've been eating like the heart and the liver and working through that, but then I still have that carcass is hanging out there. But then I'm using onions out of my garden, and I'm using, I got some kale, a little bit of kale right now. Chicken's been eating it, but like I'm still, it's like spirit has really put me in a position where I am provided for by spirit. Like I'm not worried about where my next meal is going to come from ever, and same goes for like my house and everything in my life right now has been very taken care of by spirit, by Most High. But it's because I don't have an extravagant need, I'm not asking them to provide me beyond my basic needs, and I'm willing to live within that, the restrictions that they place on me, and so it's like that standing in our divine light. Even though others out here may not see that, they're not going to see that on you. They would maybe think that they're blinded right now because like a lot of people think that the more we have monetistically, like money wise, like like the more gadget things, basically that people really are judged by that, and so right now we're being asked to see life differently, and we're being blessed with the opportunity to do so. And so really revel in that, really do. Stay on that path, it's like you're stepping away from, yeah, exactly. Three of Pentacles. It's Three of Pentacles. It says God says, sign right here. And so there you have it. That's that King of Swords with that pig tooth. And so it's like, yeah, we made the cut, and it's one of them things that's like, to make the cut with God, you gotta go through a lot of shit. It's like God tests you. They want to know that you're loyal to them. And they're gonna put you through it. They're gonna remove everything from your life that is something that could stand in the way of your loyalty to them, and from you actually seeing them and seeing what they do in your life in a manner that is divine. And that's what they're asking us to see right now with this Eight of Pentacles right here, energy, because that Eight of Pentacles energy is like God saying, hey, look, you've been working on this, working for this, working towards this for your whole life. Like you have been, man. Like this is the path that you've been on. This is what you told me in the very beginning of creation, the very beginning of time that you wanted. But I had to make sure that you were prepared for it, that you could handle it. And so you had a lot that you had to learn, was what Spirit's saying. That's what God's saying. God's like, hey, yeah, man, like we started with nothing, and now you're on the top, but you got to realize you're on the top right now. So you got to quit feeling like we're nothing. And we got to realize and see for a fact that we are this one right here. We're chosen. God says sign right here. God says sign right here. And that's like I say, if you like it, if you love it, put a ring on it. And that's what God says right now. And so if you're in a feminine energy, like I carry a feminine energy, then you're going to be the bride. And if you carry masculine energy, well, you're going to be the groom. That's the way it works with spirit, right? And so you got to know yourself. Jack of Cups right here, which is the very, very beginning of this read. It says, ha 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 ha. Did he just say he loves me? And that's that energy, okay? And so, like, that's what's been balanced right now, and that's what they're trying to ask us right now. Like I said, it's like we can't fucking feel, like a lot of people take this shit lightly, like they take it lightly when you tell them, or they kind of treat you like you're, make them uncomfortable, if you try to be like, look, man, I'm fucking called, like Spirit has chose me and has definitely put their mark on me, like I'm anointed, and that's a hard path for me to walk. And it requires a lot of alternative living, a lot of different choices that I have to make in order to stay on that path. People kind of look at you like you're making excuses because you can't compete with this Pentacles energy out here. It's like you can't, and it's like, no, I'm not making excuses. God has a calling on my life. And so it's not ha 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 ha. It's like, no, motherfucker, I'm called, And that's what that Knight of Cups is being asked to see, is that, yeah, you're a Knight of Cups, but you're a Knight of Cups in God's army, you know? And so love yourself. Don't ever think small about who and what you are, because in this world, sure, you're a Knight of Cups in God's army, but you're a fucking high priestess, you know, a divine feminine high priestess, empress here on earth. You know, that's the energy that you carry. And so when people see you coming, now they ain't gonna try to take your harvest from you. You know, no way in hell. In fact, they might try to help you have a bigger and more bountiful harvest, because they're gonna see that you are the one that knows what's up, and that's how we're gonna gain the respect. You know, that's how we're gonna gain the privilege of leading God's people back into the forest. You know, as the divine ones, as we're called to do. Okay, and so it's like, yeah, ha 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 ha, but it's like ha 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 on you, motherfuckers, over here that hanging in that fucking tree. You know what I'm saying? That hangman right there, and they don't know what to do. They're hanging upside down right now, very fucking confused. You know, while we're the ones that are soaring out here like a raven, because we've been willing to dump that burden, turn that wheelbarrow upside fucking down, and say, well, look, if I'm not begging for your fucking shit, like if I'm not begging for you to give me something, if I'm like, well, I don't fucking need it, then that makes me the one who's got the power and control. And that's how we soar, right? That's how we learn our higher knowledge and move on, is when we stop letting motherfuckers feed us bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And that's the truth, you know? And so that's what we're being asked to see in ourselves, because she's staring right the fuck over here at this King of Swords, right? And this King of Swords is carrying that sword because they made them sacrifices. They ain't gonna let nobody fucking laugh at them ever again. Yep. You know? You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful. Queen of Swords again up on the deck with Barn Owl, you know? It's got Barn Owl right over there, right? Some owls, right? It's Queen of Swords. And so, that's again, we've got a divine couple, you know, divine truth speaker, you know? So the energy of this individual right here is both balance of masculine and feminine. And they are very cerebral, you know. It's like you're very intelligent and you're very aware, you know, you're very observant, and you're very clear spoken, you know. You can speak your word and it makes sense. It makes sense to those who want to understand how they too could be abundant in a world that's trying to make us feel like we have no abundance, okay? And especially naturally. It's like they're making it so hard for us to feel like we can naturally take care of ourselves that people are going to be looking towards individuals like us. And that's why we have to stand firm as ourselves in our truth, and not be affected by or tempted by individuals that want to, or any situation, anything, spirits, anything that our own energy. You know, we need to see ourselves confidently and know that we represent all sides fairly. You know, and so it's like we're not biased. We don't see things one way or the other. We understand that light and shadow got to work together. We understand that that the men and women got to work together. You know, the races got to work together. We see everything from everybody's angle. We have a balance of our truth, you know, of both the light and dark, of the masculine and the feminine right here inside of ourselves. And so it's like we need to protect that. And we don't need to find anybody else to prove to us ourselves that we are true. So it's like we're no longer going to have individuals in our lives who represent us or try to make us look good, because we know right now that we look damn good on our own. You know, we can stand in that light. And that's that high priestess energy right there. That's powerful. That spirit. What a hangman over here. Them fools. Yep, fools. Did I just change my mind? Yeah, you just changed your mind. That's the hangman. That's the Jack of Swords, right? It says, did I just change my mind? Yeah, you did. They did. They changed their minds. They did. They certainly did. But they changed their minds too fucking late. You know what I'm saying? And that's funny because the cross is right there by the hangman. I didn't see it. I didn't see it in my poem, but it might have been underneath the other coins. It might have been underneath the big one right here. But it could have been on the table. But still, either way, it's right there with the hanging man. And so it's like, yeah, duh. So now they're the sacrifice. And they're thinking, did I just change my mind? You know, like that's what everybody's kind of wondering right now. They're like, because they don't know, like they bought into something that is not making sense right now, and so everybody doesn't even realize. They're like, what are we gonna do? And that's how the energy is. That's the hangman, so it's like, what are we gonna do? It's like, yeah, well, what are they gonna do? um Rob, steal, lie, cheat, kill, destroy, like all the shit that they always do. They're gonna take us to war, like Gerald Slithy says. When all else fails, take them to war. And so, like, but when they do that, as they continue to play their heavy hand and try to enslave everybody mentally and physically, because like an animal that can't feed itself is a slave, is livestock, right? And so if you can't feed yourself with your own two hands, the way that I was talking about how I do out here, and stuff, because then you're not free, you're not. And that's the thing, that's the truth, and that's like the biggest truth that a lot of us are really fully aware of right now. And we need to build communities. Luke, here on the channel, the group of us here was saying that we need to build. I'm trying to remember right now. Of course, I can't remember. I have to look. But he said community. Oh man, community something that was really good. He said local communityism, I think is what he said we need to build. So it's like not communism, not capitalism, but local communityism, and that's what we need to start really focusing on right now, But we individuals that have the wisdom to see that and to actually move forward building those need to really stand in our light heavy right now and make those moves on our own. All right, you know what I'm saying? Because there's not a lot of people that are thinking that way even really, or it's like a lot of people are thinking that way, but they don't know how to do it themselves really, because it requires a lot. I mean, it's taken me my whole life to learn to live the way I live, to be so alternative, because I live very alternatively. Like honestly, I mean, the milk, I get expired milk from the dairy, and that's what I use for milk. It's like I buy very little, and that's the goal. That's the key, is that we have to, in order to free ourselves from the slavery that they're trying to impose us into, or trying to like force us into, because they're just dumb, they're making it to where we ain't even aware enough of our own light, our own selves, to see the fact that we're being enslaved. It's just like the frogs in the pot, they're just taking away a little more, a little more, a little more, a little more. And it's happening to the point where people are just getting numb. They don't even know what their rights are, what their freedoms are. They don't know how to be free because they've been enslaved, right? Slowly. And so we got to stop that process. But it's going to require some of us to stand in some big ass motherfucking energy on our own. Okay? And so that's what it is right now. And we have to see that for what it is. And we know that that's a hard path that we're going to step on into. But we know, because God says right here with that King of Swords, God says sign right here. So the sacrifices that we've made, they're worth it. They're definitely worth it. So ha 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 ha. Did he say he loves me? Oh fuck yeah, he did. Sign on the dotted line. Sign on the dotted line. And this Ace of Wands, it kind of flipped over weird when it came out. If you've seen that, but like it's coming out on the right here with the Ten of Pentacles and the Seven of Swords. It's the Ace of Wands, but that's like down, boy, down. Do you have a boner right now? Really? And it's kind of like I think that's like saying that the rulers, the powers, the controllers, the ones that invented the AI and all this stuff that they're trying to utilize in order to enslave us, that they jumped the gun a little bit, that they kind of thought they had us in a position that it was going to be easy for them, and so it's like they thought we were kind of drunk enough on all those bullshit that they've been feeding us, that we didn't have the there wasn't enough of us out here that had the awareness and the ability to be set aside enough to kind of to rattle the cage on those that they're trying to enslave, trying to cage up, and so it's like they kind of misjudged how resilient we are in this divine energy right here, because like we're powerful, we're very powerful, we're very protected. Father God has protected us and has been leading us, guiding us, directing us, and holding our hand the entire way, and providing for us everything that we needed in order to be on that path, right? And so now we're really starting to see that, and they didn't expect that. And so they thought it was going to be really easy just to kind of take whatever they wanted from us, do whatever they wanted to us. And that's why that Ace of Wands is in the reverse position right there, because that's down, boy, down. You know, it's like somebody's trying to mount your leg. And it's like, hey, it ain't breeding season, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Get off me. And that's where we're standing in our light right now. We're like, nah, get the fuck off of us right now. We're going to shake these motherfuckers just like you'd shake fleas off your back if you're a big old fucking dog. Why are we out here with that divine energy, Spirit? We got to dance, right? You know what's up, Spirit? Why is she out here, Spirit? Thank you, Spirit. Thank you for everything you do, Spirit. Guys, good work. It says, oh man, you worked hard for this, you know? And so good work. And that's the Nine of Pentacles, right? And that's the Nine of Pentacles. And I've seen her kind of trying to pop out on the bottom of the deck a couple times, you know? And then we have, yeah, we got it to end it up right here. All right, we're going to leave it here because we got right back again to that Knight of Hearts, okay? So that's that Knight of Cups, again, that we started to read off. The very, very beginning was the bottom of the deck there, was that Knight of Cups, right? And that's, I think I love me. That's I think I love me, right? And that's what God wants you to know. See, so who are you gonna sign that contract with? Who else is on that contract? Because in that Three of Pentacles over here with the pig's tooth, you know, there's three individuals in that card, right? And so, but what God's trying to tell you right now, with that King and Queen of Swords trying to come out, is that you're the one who's earned this, you know. So it's like your independence right now is going to be a powerful example as you start to harvest the things that everybody told you can't do, and they're going to watch you now do it in the hardest of circumstances, out of the most deepest rubble, you know, out of the most hottest fire. You're going to rise as that phoenix in this energy as this high priestess, you know, and so we're going to rebuild everything that they've taken away from us, or that they have taken away from us, and even have accused us in the past of not even really building it ourselves, right? Well, we've done the majority of the work, but they got the harvest. And so they're like, well, I got the harvest, so I did most of the work. And it's like, well, it might look that way, the way the world used to be, you know? But the world ain't like that no more. Yeah, it ain't like that no more. And those of us who've done the hard work, we go, I think I love me. And we say, nah, I fucking know I do, because God does, and God has very good discernment, you know. And so if God has blessed me the way that God has blessed me, and continues to bless me, and promises me this independence that I see that I have, that we have in our lives, right? Because now we're being chosen, and so we're stepping into a path where it's like everything that is coming together, you know, and we see that, and we feel that, and we're positive about that, and we're excited about that. And so what Father's asking us here is to really see that and rejoice in that with that Knight of Cups, you know. And so, like, yeah, it's a brand new path, you guys. Yep. It's been a long time coming, you know, and yep, it's going to be different, because it's not going to be the way it used to be, you know. We've done too much hard work, you know, and we're very divine here. We're coming out with strong, powerful divine energy. And I'm proud of you guys. I'm proud of all of us, you know, right now. And I'm looking forward to the change that we're going to bring in, because we're going to bring in a lot of great change. You know, we're going to bring a lot of happiness. We're going to have a lot of happiness in our lives, and we've earned it, you know. And so it's like we can continue to be available to these energies over here that are a little bit negative, kind of, you know. But that's the ones that are now, like, as we have cleared our karmic debts and have stepped into a new path, doing things the right way, making the right choices, and like really tending to our wounds and everything, but with a divine sense, you know. A lot of individuals that are coming that haven't really because our world's so karmic, you know, they're kind of starting that cycle that we just came out of. Like, we just completed a big karmic cycle, and we're gonna watch a lot of people that around us now that are also that kind of thought that they were protected, or like, that they weren't, that karma wasn't real, you know, because that's the whole world right now. Like, everybody's got a lot of karma coming, kind of, you know. Well, we've already dealt with ours, and so that puts us in a position that we could also help to lead, guide, and direct, too. That's what God's trying to do with us. And that's our power. That's our strength. That's our beauty. That's our truth. And that's why our lives have been the way that they've been. And so good work, guys. I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you, and I want to send you all prayers of love and kindness and truth, and like security, comfort, and natural abundance, and I want to pray over the collective too, that you guys all really start to see yourself in a way that you truly value yourself, because you deserve it, and like you know the truth, or else you wouldn't be here to the end of this read, and if you made it to the end of the read, put pink in the comments. Put pink, PINK. I don't know, just put that in there. That's random. So, anyways, good work, you guys. The beast don't like it, so keep coming back. Let's keep doing this thing. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you at the next one. Peace out, y'all. I love you.